Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into the deep end of post-merger integration. This is that make or break moment after the ink is dry on the deal, where companies either create billions in new value or, as you're about to see, watch it all go up in flames. Okay, so let's get right into it with the tale of two mergers. First, you've got Disney buying Pixar. A masterpiece. Instead of just absorbing Pixar and crushing its creative magic, Disney actually protected it. And the result? A string of hits that created billions. But then, you have the Daimler-Chrysler merger of equals. This was a culture clash of epic proportions, a total disaster that destroyed a mind-boggling $29 billion in value. Just poof, gone. And here's the thing. That Daimler-Chrysler story, it's not some rare exception. It's actually much closer to the rule. Study after study shows that a staggering 70%, 7 out of 10, mergers fail to hit their targets. The problem isn't usually the deal on paper. Nope. It's almost always a failure in the integration that comes next. And this gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. See, a lack of clarity creates chaos, and chaos just destroys value. That's why every single successful integration starts by nailing the answer to one incredibly important question. This right here. Before you combine a single team, before you merge a single system, you have to answer this with absolute precision. This becomes your North Star. It's the one thing you can point to for every single decision you're going to have to make down the line.
So what does that purpose look like? Well, most mergers fall into one of 5 buckets. Are you just trying to eliminate overlap and cut costs? Are you expanding into a new part of the world? Maybe you're extending your product line or trying to consolidate the market to become the top dog. Or are you doing what Disney did with Pixar and buying a company specifically for its incredible innovation?
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? A one-size-fits-all integration plan is a recipe for disaster. The way you integrate to cut costs is the total opposite of how you handle a company you bought for its creative genius. Disney got that right. Daimler got it catastrophically wrong. Your approach has to match your purpose.
Okay, so that's the why, but what about the how? How do you actually turn that big strategic purpose into a concrete, practical plan? Well, let's break down a simple framework that does exactly that. It's a really simple but powerful 3-step flow. You start at the top with your purpose. That's your why. From there, you figure out the outcomes. What do your customers, your employees, what do they need to feel and see for this to be a success? And only then, only after you've nailed those two, do you get down to the activities, the specific how that's going to make it all happen.
Let's put this framework to the test with a quick example. Picture this. A giant pharmaceutical company buys a small, nimble biotech startup. The purpose is crystal clear. They want that cutting-edge tech, and probably even more importantly, they want to keep that brilliant research team.
So if we follow the framework, what activities make sense? Well, you'd probably keep the research labs totally separate to protect that unique, innovative culture. You might even let them keep their own budget to preserve accountability. But you would consolidate stuff like HR and finance for efficiency, and you'd build huge retention packages for those key scientists. You see, every single move is designed to serve that one strategic purpose. All right, so we've got a playbook for success. Now let's flip the coin and look at the field guide to failure. These are the classic, fatal mistakes that derail that 70% of mergers and turn billions of dollars into dust. Mistake number 1, destroying the very thing you paid for. This one is a classic. A big, slow company buys a fast, agile startup and then immediately tries to smother it with corporate bureaucracy, old systems, and endless meetings. You know what happens next. The top talent is out the door within a year, the culture is dead, and you've basically just lit a giant pile of money on fire. But here's the thing. The opposite problem can be just as deadly, moving way too slowly. While the integration team spends months trying to plan the perfect transition, the whole organization is stuck in limbo. Nobody knows who their boss is, your best employees start taking calls from recruiters, and your competitors are just happily picking off your confused customers. Speed really, really matters. And this right here, this points to one of the biggest and most dangerous traps of all, bad communication. Leaders almost always think they're communicating enough. They are not even close. And when you leave a communication vacuum, it doesn't just stay empty. It gets filled with fear, with rumors, and with negativity. and that just grinds everything to a halt. So here's a super simple rule of thumb for you. Whatever amount of communication you think is enough, it's not. Take that plan and multiply it by 5. Seriously, that's probably closer to the amount of communication you actually need to keep people focused and on board through all the chaos.
Okay, finally, let's talk about leadership, because you can have the perfect strategy and the perfect plan, but it all hinges on one person, the integration leader. And let me tell you, this is not a job for your typical executive. It takes a very specific and pretty rare set of skills.
Now, what's really fascinating about this list is that these traits are often the opposite of what makes a great general manager in a stable day-to-day business. Integration leaders have to be obsessive about the tiny details. They have to be brilliant at managing people through deep uncertainty, and they need a huge capacity for empathy to understand the anxiety everyone is feeling. It is a unique role for a uniquely chaotic time. So, if you're going to remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. The strategic purpose of the deal must define your integration approach. There is no universal, off-the-shelf playbook that works for everyone. Every single integration has to be custom-built to serve its specific goal.
All right, so to get you thinking, we're going to leave you with a classic scenario. Imagine you're the new integration leader. Your CEO comes to you and gives you this very common and very dangerous order on the screen. Knowing everything we just talked about, what are the first questions you would ask to make sure you steer the company away from that 70% failure rate and toward a real success?